Off the coast of Texas tonight, two ships colliding as they crossed a busy shipping channel. One of those ships, a barge, carrying 1 million gallons of oil.
We can see the effects of our oil dependency played out for all to see. We are constantly reminded of the dangers. Deepwater Horizon, Exxon Valdez, the potential catastrophe caused by the Keystone XL pipeline. We are reminded of the risk we face from foreign dependency and how atmospheric carbon dioxide is reaching unprecedented levels. But these are the problems we see. What about the ones we don't?
There are constant leaks from wells, pipes, and tanks across the world, polluting both the soil and water without ever making headlines. There's the hazardous waste produced at all steps in oil's lifetime. We know about greenhouse gases, but what about the heavy metals and other harmful emissions? There's no denying the effect that headline disasters cause. The BP Deepwater Horizon spill alone released 4.9 million barrels of oil. It's the day-to-day pollution, though, that ends up having the most profound effect. No matter how small, they all form drops in a much larger barrel.
The Niger Delta, located at the mouth of the Niger River in Nigeria, is one of the most eco-rich environments in the world. Home to dense mangrove swamps, over 60% of West Africa's vital fish stocks breed in these waters. However, at the same time, the Niger Delta is home to one of the richest oil deposits, providing 80% of government revenue and making up 90% of exports. This unfortunate overlap has led to disastrous consequences. Since the wells first opened in 1958, over 9.5 million barrels of oil have been spilled in the region. Whether through sabotage by local militants or neglect by main regional operator Royal Dutch Shell, the region has been inundated by crude oil spills for most of recent history. Between August and November of 2008, Shell reported only 1,640 barrels were lost. However, when fact-checked by independent sources, the losses totaled between 103,000 barrels and 311,000 barrels. At the end of it all, it's estimated that 240,000 barrels are lost a year, but this oil has to go somewhere, and that's when the problems start. Mangroves have been devastated in many areas. They've been reduced to only roots, removing an essential natural habitat. 91% of species in the area have seen significant population declines, and fish stocks have been severely diminished. Not only has the environment taken a hit, but so have the people. Oil spills have been correlated to a 60% drop in food security and a 24% increase in childhood malnutrition. In a country racked by poverty, this is something the people cannot afford. And whenever there is a significant source of wealth like oil, there's the violence that comes as a result. Rebel groups actively operate in the region, attacking oil facilities and hurting the residents caught in the middle. The problem in Nigeria is not alone. As you watch this, spills are going on across the world, polluting the environment and hurting locals in order to satisfy our energy demands. Occasionally we pay attention and there's a sudden flurry of activity demanding change. But soon the media moves on, people go back to their lives and nothing changes. And it happens here too, in our states, our towns, our backyards, but we stay silent. The BLM failed to inspect 2,100 high-risk wells right here in the U.S. The government needs to pay attention to our environment and public health, but there's a glaring lack of care.
You would not have drilled the well the way they did.
Spills aren't the only problem. We've been taught and reminded that every time we burn oil, we release carbon dioxide, which enhances the greenhouse effect and leads to global warming. But there are more pollutants, ones far more dangerous, that are hidden from the public eye.
Here we are in Dartmouth College Power Plant. This plant runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Our energy demand is non-stop, and the plant has to run to keep up with this. There are 4 large boilers, with the oldest built in 1966 and the newest right here built in 2009. They work pretty much in the exact same way you're familiar with. Water is turned into steam by burning a fossil fuel, and then the steam is used as needed. Here in Dartmouth, the power plant is primarily designed for the college's heating needs. It gets pretty cold up here in New Hampshire, so for most of the year, this demand is pretty strong. At the same time though, the steam also spins turbines and produces around 45% of the school's electricity needs. Boilers need fuel to create heat, and like most conventional boilers in the world today, these run off fossil fuels. However, while you might be familiar with a coal-fired or a gas-burning plant, this one uses fuel oil, more specifically number 6 fuel oil. Most of you are familiar with gasoline or diesel, and some of you even with home heating oil. However, outside of large commercial applications like this, most people will go their entire lives without ever seeing number 6 fuel oil. Number 6 is actually the accumulated waste product of oil refineries. It's extremely potent, but at the same time, extremely dirty. It has to be stored between 100 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit for its whole life. Otherwise, it would gel and solidify, leaving you with a useless clump of stinking petroleum. So everyone knows burning fossil fuels releases greenhouse gases. And last year, Dartmouth released 87,000 metric tons of carbon equivalent. But there's an unseen pollution, one we often forget about or doesn't even know exists. Let's go downstairs and see the hidden cost of our energy demands. Every time we burn fossil fuels, there's some residue left over, and it has to go somewhere. Right here is the waste, washed out of the tanks on a regular basis. While it seems harmless, it actually has a pH of 2. Putting that in context, that's almost as acidic as car battery acid. It can only be disposed of as toxic waste, and remember, when you're open for business 365 days a year, that adds up fast. Sure, number 6 fuel oil is cheap, and we can try to offset our carbon emissions in other ways, but there's always pollution, whether it's from the sludge-filled strainers or the toxic residue left behind in the boilers. No matter which way you look at it, it's an astonishment we still use petroleum, and something we need to fix.
Fuel oil also contains large concentrations of sulfur and different ash-forming metals, which contribute to particle emissions. No one wants to breathe mercury, nickel, iron, or chromium, but it's exactly what comes out of smokestacks. Oil is dirty, yet we cannot cure our addiction.
At the end of it all, we can't blame the people who work in power plants, on the drilling rig, or deliver the oil to our homes. We supply the demand, and they're just doing their job. But this problem needs a solution, and black gold is not the future. There are proven alternatives, and many are not only cheaper, but more efficient and environmentally friendly. Above all, the best choice is to save a watt, not use it. When there's a will, there's a way. It's time to make the switch before our barrel of time runs dry.